welcome to the How to Spark Success podcast show. I'm your host, Liz Hamlet, and I'm a success coach and business mentor, and I'm also founder of Spark Succeeds. And this is the podcast show where I have conversations with smart and savvy business owners, and we get to steal some of their success secrets. And I'm delighted today to have a guest from a very cold Chicago. He grew up a shy and introverted kid who was absolutely terrified of public speaking. And he is now an international keynote speaker who has spoken at over 100 conferences. He's also the author of Skyrocket Your Career. He's a tech career coach and he's also built a six-figure business. So welcome to Raj Subrameyer. How are you, Raj?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
So you were saying how cold it is over with you. And I'm assuming you've got some snow drifts, or is it just very cold?
So I live in Chicago, and for the people listening or watching, yeah, it is on the colder side where we get a lot of snow. But as I was saying, before we started the interview, we kind of get used to it, right? As long as you're covered completely, have the right clothes, it's actually fun. In fact, last week we had a snowstorm, and we built a snowman, and then we had a snow slide for my 15-month-old son, and then he just kept going on it again and again and again. So it's actually a lot of fun. And contrary to popular beliefs, they think Chicago is called the Windy City, right? But it's actually not because of the wind. If you go back to the history of Chicago, it was built. Chicago had a lot of windbags, like crazy people. So it was the Windy City. So that is actually the history. But it is also the actual Windy City because the wind blows horizontally. So we can go both ways. But quick history lesson there. But overall, I love snow, and Chicago has been great so far.
Oh, that's fantastic. And an extra history fact for our listeners. So thanks for sharing that. So tell us a bit, because I know you're doing sort of lots of really exciting things, but do you want to tell us a bit about, what you do and how you got to do what you're doing today, basically?
So I'm a tech career coach. I specifically help people in the tech industry to find their dream job and become successful leaders. And I've been in the tech space for over 15 years now. I've gone through so many different roles, right? And that's my main job. That's what I do. Yeah. But I also have two other things I do on the side, which is my speaking and writing business. So I speak at a lot of conferences, and companies hire me to speak at their private events on various different topics like motivation, leadership, AI, software development, software testing. I'm a tech guy by heart, right? So I'm pretty active in those conferences. And also, I write for a lot of companies, their blog posts, their ebooks, and a lot of other publications as well. So that is kind of my whole portfolio of business. But my main passion is helping people advance their careers, right? And I didn't start up this way, like being a tech career coach, right? Like I was not born and said, I want to be a tech career coach. It was totally a different story. So that brings me to my childhood upbringing, right? If I share that, it'll set some context for your listeners and viewers as well. So I grew up in the southern part of India, and from my thick Texas American accent, you know that I was not born in the US, right? So yeah, I grew up in a place called Chennai in the southern part of India. And it's one of the 5 bigger cities which fuels the economy of India. And that's where I grew up. I'm the younger of the 2 kids. I have a older brother. He's 5 years older than me. And since a young age, I had this inferiority complex that I wasn't good enough. I didn't matter. That was partly because of my childhood upbringing as well, where my dad was super smart. Since he was born, he studied in scholarships. And then my brother is a genius. He has 3 masters and a PhD. And then there I was, the average Raj, who didn't do well in academics, right? And you may relate to it, but your Asian friends and people watching, listening could relate to what I'm going to say right now. When you grow up in an Asian community, academics is strongly pushed, right? And you pretty much have three options. You can either become a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, right? And then I said, you know what, I'm going to become an engineer. And literally now I'm an engineer, right? It started off that way. But the point was, since I was pretty average from an academic standpoint, compared to my cousins and my friends around me, I constantly try to emulate other overachievers around me. I try to rise up to their expectations and try to make them notice me. But every time I tried doing that, I ended up getting disappointed because I could never live up to people's expectations, right? And that constant quest for making people notice me led me into this path of anxiety, stress, depression, fear of rejection. In fact, funny story is I still remember this in my 8th grade. I had this crush on this girl, and every time she passed me, I used to sweat, stutter, and it took me 3 weeks just to say hi to her, right? So I was that type of nervous wreck, right? In terms of fear of rejection. But anyway, so all these things kind of carried along with me till my second year of my undergrad. And I had a trigger event which transformed my life, right? So I still remember this. I was sitting in my study room, and all of a sudden I can feel my chest hurting. And my heart is beating so fast, like tuck, 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 tuck. I thought I was getting a heart attack, but now I know this a panic attack for the first time in my life. This happened during my second year of my undergrad. So my hands are shaking, my body is trembling, and then I started sweating. And then I could feel tears filling up my eyes, and I can feel the tears trickling down my cheeks, and I don't know what was happening. And then the pain in my chest slowly starts moving towards my head. It was not just a physical pain anymore. It was mental pain, because 20 years of living a life for other people, living a life in false identity, which had bottled up inside me, kind of exploded, right, at that point. And the Pandora box of feelings opened up, and I was crying profusely for 2 hours sitting there, because I came to a realization that all this while I was letting other people's opinions be my reality, right? And I was living life for other people rather than living life for myself. And once I came to that realization, that's when I decided, you know what? Screw this. I'm done listening to people. I matter. I'm good enough. I'm not dumb. I'm going to carve my own identity, and I'm going to strive for greatness. And that's when I declared power over my life, right? And since then, I've taken gradual steps, did so many experiments with life that transformed my life from a shy, introverted kid earning a minimum salary into an international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and tech career coach running a 6-figure business. So the reason I going deep into my story is I want to let people, your viewers, know that what you see right now was hard work over a period of 30 years, right? That's why when you see Instagram stories, that's why I hate Instagram first thing. That's because most of the people, they share all these pictures on top of their Ferrari and next to a big house and then smiling, but they don't share the stories of how they got there, one, or we don't know what their real story is. They may be thousands and millions of dollars in debt, and they just show this picture. So the grass is not always greener on the other side. And that's what I want everyone to remember. But that's kind of my story as well. And we could talk more about my stories in terms of how the transformation happened. Yeah. But that kind of sets the context for my whole reason of what I do right now and why I'm doing it as well. So.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, the whole sort of Instagram, success lifestyle. Obviously, I work with people to sort of achieve their level of success, whether that's, more time with their family, work-life balance, more increased success with the business. But, exactly what you say is what you see on Instagram. Often that's someone else's Ferrari.
I know.
or someone that, a house that they've hired. So, and I think a lot of people just see successful people as, they've sort of had a constant upward sort of staircase towards this success. What they don't see is the sort of, failed businesses, or, personal, tragedies, or, challenges that they have experienced themselves. So, they just see the sort of success, the sort of end of the line, business, or, Instagram celebrity or something. So yeah, I totally agree with you there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm quite interested, because you mentioned that sort of pivotal moment. But I'm quite interested in particular what you feel is the sort of biggest factor in your success.
That's an easy answer for me, luckily, because I think that one important factor for my success is facing adversities. Throughout my life, I faced a lot of adversities. And if you read any motivational book, see all the great leaders, Nelson Mandela, the Dalai Lama, everyone, the Mother Teresa, everyone have faced adversities, right? And only when you face adversities, it tests you, and it makes you realize who you are, what you're capable of. And that's when greatness happens, right? Here's a simple story. Throughout my life, I faced adversities, but this is one which is kind of also a highlight in my life, which kind of proved to me that I have the mindset, the consistency, and the belief system to make a change, right? So we go way back to 2008 for the story. I still remember this vividly. So I come to the United States on August 31st, 2008. I'm this young kid with an even thicker Indian accent, and super excited for pursuing my master's in a really good university over here, right? I come in August 31st, 2008, and then September 7th, 2008, Lehman Brothers became bankrupt. So for those of you listening, for the young folks there, Lehman Brothers was one of the biggest financial firms in the world. They were based in the US, and they became bankrupt overnight. And that kind of sparked the whole recession. And I came a week before the 2008 recession started, right? I had student loans. I had all these dreams of making it big, and this happened. So getting jobs as an immigrant was really, really hard, because I need a work permit for people. People had to sponsor me to work for them. And since people didn't have money, companies didn't have money, no one was ready to sponsor immigrants. So I was left with two choices, right? First option was go back with half of the class, international students who were with me, from where they came from. Or the second option was do whatever it takes and see what comes out of it. And luckily, I chose the second option. So from the beginning of 2009 till end of 2009, I applied for 1,293 jobs, right? I had a whole Excel sheet where I was tracking stuff. And guess how many callbacks I got from applying for 1,293 jobs?
Oh, it will be ridiculously low, I bet. Go on, surprise me.
It was 4 callbacks from 1,293 jobs. And then I converted one job. And that too was not a full-time job, but it was an internship. And for all the math nerds listening, it's 0.3% conversion rate, right? And that whole experience taught me so many different things about what jobs are, how to apply for, what resumes click, how do I talk to people during interviews, what are some strategies involved, right? And the highlight of this whole experience was I faced that adversity. And then, to cut a long story short, I converted that internship, which I got, into a full-time job within 6 months, and the rest was history. And fast forwarding to 2021, I'm here talking to you, running a 6-figure business. That's because of that one decision I made to stick around and do whatever it takes. So I believe only when you face adversities, you get pushed out of your comfort zone. And that's when you see what you're capable of. Because when you're in your cushy, comfortable life, you don't know what the world looks like, right? And that's why I firmly believe that uh, adversities helps to spark that spiritual, mental, and physical awakening within you, which you need for any kind of transformation.
Yeah.
And one thing to keep in mind for all those folks listening or watching is to be extraordinary, you need to go the extra mile. That's why it's called extraordinary, right? And most of the people strive to be extraordinary, but they don't do the work. And that's because they also haven't faced some of the adversities, right? But if you want to reach greatness, if you want to be extraordinary, you need to go the extra mile. So overall, to sum it up, facing adversities is one success factor for me, which has helped me transform my life and help to transform other people's lives and careers as well.
Yeah. I'm quite interested in what you're saying about, the number of jobs that you apply for, and being by your own admission, you're saying prior to that you were sort of very introverted, perhaps lacked some self-esteem and stuff. What was the impact of that on you and those sort of, not even rejections, not hearing back on your self-esteem? Because I've been working recently during COVID with volunteering, helping people to sort of brush up their interview skills and sort of help apply for jobs. And a lot of them are just, really have seen a big knock to their self-esteem. So during that time, what was going on sort of internally for you?
Great question. So I'll be lying to you if I say that, you know what, I was all happy. I just wanted to do it now. I was shit scared. I was depressed. I was stressed because I had the fear of the unknowns. I was anxious. I had sleepless nights, right? But the difference was after the first 200, 300 jobs, then I realized that, wait a minute, I'm just blindly applying for jobs and then I'm not in the right frame of mind. I'm panicking. I'm anxious. I don't have a strategy in place. So let's start retrospecting what I'm doing, right? So I shifted my mindset from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance, right? And when you shift your mindset and believe in yourself that you can do it, it takes time. And if you believe in the power of delayed gratification, where you show up consistently every day, do the work, things happen. Because I'm not religious. You may call me spiritual, but I believe in the universe. I think universe gives you opportunities and shows you signs, opens the doors for different avenues. But that happens only when you're constantly looking for that door. And that's where the mindset and the consistency helps, right? So when I was going through this whole 1,293 job application process, I learned a lot about myself, resilience, how resilient I was to rejection. And then I became like a robot, right? Okay, hit me. I'm going to keep hitting me, man. I can keep going. I can keep going. It's like Captain America, right? I don't know whether you're a Marvel fan. I'm a huge Marvel fan. Captain America would say, hit me. Okay. Hit me, hit me, hit me. And he keeps taking beatings, right? But then he's Captain America. And that's the exact same thing I was going through, where rejections became a normal part of me, but it was a learning experience. And I changed my mindset to learn from it, instead of sitting in one place and just being depressed, because that's not going to take you anywhere. And for me, I had to find a way. And the only way to do that is just keep going, keep going, keep going. But during the journey, you also want to retrospect and constantly keep analyzing and then moving things, moving the needle in different directions to see what works and what doesn't. So that's what I meant by experimenting with life, because you have to try different things to reach your goals.
Fantastic. And that might lead us actually quite nicely onto our next question, because, one of the things I'm quite interested in you mentioning is that mindset shift, moving from the sort of mindset of lack to abundance. So with that in mind, what are some of your success habits? So that might be like, physical habits, exercise, anything like that, or, mental mindset tips.
Another great question. So I believe for any successful person, there's always a strategy and a structure. And that's what I've seen, right? And I read about like 30 books per year. I listen to at least 150 podcasts a year. So this is like a common theme. And at first I didn't believe it. But then in the past 4 years or 5 years, I started experimenting with different things, which makes me tick, which makes me click, which makes me keep going, right? And that's when I figured out my routines. So I'm a man of routines, and every day I do some things over and over and over again because it became a habit for me, right? So just to give you an idea, this is how my day starts. So I have morning routines, day routines, and then evening routines. So morning routines. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I have to do is go turn on my coffee pot, which I've already set up the coffee machine the previous night, and then start brewing coffee. Then I go brush my teeth. Then I come back, then take a sip of coffee and try to enjoy it and be mindful. Then I come into my office, which you see over here in the background. I use this couch over here. I do my meditation, 10 minutes of meditation, right? And then after that, I write down all the things which I've been thinking, which came up in my meditation practice, and also different things I want to achieve that particular day. Say I write down like I do a mind dump. That's what I call it, a mind dump exercise. So once I write down all the things I want to do, then I number them. I put numbers from 1 to 10 in terms of priority.
Yeah.
And my whole motto every day is to finish the top three things.
Yeah.
Every day, right? That's my whole motto. And then during the day, what happens is I believe in deep work. There's this great book by Cal Newport by the same name called Deep Work. I highly suggest and highly recommend it to your listeners and viewers because that kind of changed my life. So deep work is about doing focused work on one particular thing in time box sessions, right? So what I do is I have 3 to 4 time blocks, 1 hour time blocks where I block my calendar. And then on the calendar, I'll clearly put a topic on what I'm going to do. Because this is the thing, our life is like watching a Netflix movie.
Yeah.
How many you would relate to this, and everyone listening and viewing will relate to this as well. How many times have we decided, you know what, it's Friday night, let's watch an amazing movie. Then we go on Netflix and spend the first 45 minutes scrolling on what movie to watch.
Yeah.
And then by the time you select the movie, it's already an hour into your couple's time or date night or self reflection or whatever time, right? Relaxation time. And then once you start the movie, halfway through it, you feel sleepy because it's already 10 p.m. at night. And then you end up going to bed, right? Our life is the exact same way. If you don't know what you're doing on a daily basis, right? If you have a time block, but you don't know what you're going to do, you're going to spend the first 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out, okay, now I have time, what to do, right? So I want to avoid that because I don't want to stress my mind unnecessarily because we already have the stressors in life, right? With our family, with our work. So I have time block sessions of focus work. I do at 3 to 4 hour time blocks. That's my day routine. And then the end of day routine is at around 5 p.m. I spend 5 minutes of my time to see what I accomplished that particular day. Whatever I didn't accomplish gets carried over to the next day. And then from 5 to 8 p.m. is family time. I spend it with my wife and my kid. And then after 8 p.m., if at all there's some emails or something, I could do it for half an hour, but that's pretty much it. And then I repeat the same thing over and over again throughout the weekday, right? And for me, routines is what makes me keep going. Otherwise, I'll get all crazy, like a crazy person. Have you seen that movie Beautiful Mind? The guy is like this, and with so many equations and stuff. That's how I'll become, right? I'll be like a puppy dog and trying to make sense of the world. So that's how I would become. So routines are something which is really helped me perform at a high level, right? And just to give you an example, just in 2020 alone, right? I wrote a book in the middle of a pandemic. I spoke at 25 conferences. I did 5 keynote. I was featured in over 40 plus podcasts. I had 5 external publications. I coached 15 clients. I did 3 group coaching programs in middle of I did all this in the midst of taking care of my now 15-month-old son full time for 4 months, where from 9 to 5 p.m. I used to take care of him, and then I used to work only in the morning and nights, right? That's because I had routines, calendars, and strategies in place. So I think that's something which really would help people. And during the weekend, what I do is I just take about 15-20 minutes to plan the next 2 weeks or to figure out what's coming. And I already start blocking my calendar because, as you know, in our business as entrepreneurs, people randomly start scheduling meetings, and then you don't have time to work on your critical stuff, things which give you money, or things which makes you make an impact, right? So I block my calendar during the weekend as well. But yeah, that's kind of the overall summary of my success habits, right? And yeah, that is something people should think about as well.
Brilliant. And I'm really pleased you said just you focus on those top three things, because, something I see is either people getting, when they're running their own business and it's a small business, getting very caught up in being busy, but they're not necessarily the things that will move the business forward or get clients or sort of grow the business. Or they're trying to do, like they have 20 things on their to-do list for a day. And, of course, you're never going to achieve that, even
Right.
with really successful time blocking.
As my friend said, my friend Monique, she's a high performance coach. She says whatever task she does, she asks two questions, right? Does this give me money? Does it give me time back? So she asks two questions whenever she actually agrees to do something, right? I think that is pretty profound. It's so simple, but it's pretty profound. Does it give you money? Does it give you your time back? I think, and if people start asking that question, I think it's the way you approach work and life changes as well. So
That's great. Something, to question why you are doing something and why you're spending so long. And, it is easy. It's like the Netflix thing. You can get dragged down the rabbit hole of sort of social media when you've got your business, or, LinkedIn, scrolling through LinkedIn without a sort of proper strategy. So, it's not necessarily not to do those things, but I think exactly what you said, having a strategy and a plan around that and a sort of objective, what you're hoping to achieve.
right.
So, question for you, because obviously it's been, a real whirlwind. It's certainly in lockdown for you, but in the last, since 2008, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Another great question. Um, so the answer would be that you need to stop caring about what other people think about you, right? If Because when I was growing up, I constantly kept thinking about, okay, what is that person going to think about me if I do this? What is this person going to think of me when I do this, right? And I wasted the first 20 years of my life living a life for other people in terms of what they are going to think about me. And if I was going to start over again, I would not care about what other people think about me, and then focus on what I want to do in the first place, right? Because there's a thing, people are going to put different labels on you. Oh, you're smart. Oh, you're dumb. Oh, you matter. Or you're not enough. Oh, you're good. You're bad. Oh, you can't do this. You can do that, right? But as humans, what we do is we take some of these labels and we let that define us. We think those labels represents who we are, but it's just some random person giving you labels, and you take that seriously. And for me, yes, it took a lot of time to come to the realization that there's always going to be different labels, but you choose what labels you want to be associated with, right? You choose what you want to do. And that is something you want to keep in mind, right? It's funny. This reminds me, yeah, I don't know whether you know about this TV show called New Girl. There's a show called New Girl,
Yeah, I've
and
heard of it. Yeah.
it's pretty popular here in the US. And one of my favorite characters, Winston, says this. And since then, I've used that as one of my guiding principles in life as well, right? So this is what he says. He says that when I look into my suggestion box, it's always full, right? People have a lot to say about who about the way I live my life, right? But I pay attention to only one comment card from that suggestion box. And you know what the card says? Great job. Keep going. Great job. And that's what the comment card says, right? And you know who filled up that card? Me. And you know how I know? Because I can recognize my mother freaking handwriting, right? So, and that's what life is about. People have a lot to say about how to live your life, but it all boils down to what you want to do. Because I remember this quote by Confucius, the great philosopher. He says that we all have two lives. We all have two lives. The second one starts when you realize we have only one, right? So stop caring about other people, what they think. As long as you don't physically harm other people and you do something which is good for you, which makes you want to wake up in the morning every day happy with joy and a feeling that you're making an impact, I think that's what it's all about. Irrespective of the money aspect, irrespective of other factors, but this is the main theme you have to keep in mind, and that's what I believe in. So
yeah, definitely, I'm totally with you. If it brings you joy, then it's the right thing. It's the right thing for you, definitely. So you've read a lot of books, you've listened to a lot of podcasts. So I think this question's a good one for you. So what's the best piece of advice you've received about sparking success?
So I was listening to this podcast 3 years ago, and I think they were interviewing Michael Phelps and another swimmer, and they said something profound, right? And I took that to the heart as well. See, that's why I watch movies and TV shows and podcasts to get all these golden nuggets which I could follow. So I would say that just be you. That's the best advice I could give, because you have to be yourself. And this also ties along with my previous conversation of doing work which makes you happy. You have to be you, because we all live in this artificial world where we think we are the protagonists of our own story, and we are in a movie and everyone is watching the movie. That's what we think. But the reality is, everyone is their own protagonist in their own story, and no one has freaking time to watch other person's movies because they themselves are busy doing shit in their movies, right? So the fact of the matter is, no one is watching every step you take. Even Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, yes, the media may grab some attention for 2-3 days, then they move on to the next big thing, right? And for people, average people like us, normal people like us, it's not that everyone is looking at every step you take, because the only person you need to answer at the end of the day is you, your conscience, whether you did the best you could that particular day. And that's the only person you need to answer. You don't need to answer to anyone else, and no one cares about what you actually do on a really high level, because everyone are going in their own path and they're going in their own journey. And we just have to be cognizant of that fact, right? Because for me personally, I'm still a work in progress though. I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs and people who have 7-figure businesses, 8-figure businesses, who are my friends. And yeah, sometimes I feel jealous that, wow, they have such a huge company, and then me, I have a mid-tier company, right? I think jealousy is okay. And it's fine. It's okay to be jealous because it's a human emotion. But the thing to remember is, don't use that as a guiding principle for your business and your life. And that's a mistake I make. And as an Asian, it's really hard because we are um, bred to compare ourselves with others, right? And that's how the Asian community is, at least where I grew up. And it's so hard to come out of that shell. But yeah, I'm doing a lot better now. But something to keep in mind is, yeah, just be you. keep doing what you think is right for you and what brings you joy. And I think that's what it all boils down to.
That's fantastic. You need another t-shirt with that on, Raj.
Oh
Just
yeah, these t-shirts, yeah.
I was just commenting. I love the t-shirts; they're fantastic. So, if you had to sum up in one sentence, what you would want to be famous for, or what you are famous for, what would you say?
I Yeah, wow, that's a really tough question, right? Um, I would like to be known as someone who made a difference, and that difference could be contextual based on how I've impacted people's lives. I could have made a difference in a person's salary, a person's job, a personal life, made a difference in someone else who was going through some suffering, made a difference in sharing and celebrating someone else's success. And I feel that, yeah, it would be, if I'd made a difference, at least in someone's life, I think that's what I want to be known for. And I know it's all cliche when I say, yeah, I don't believe in money, I believe in impact and stuff. Uh, let's not be idealistic here. Everyone needs money to survive, right? You know it, me, I know it, but not a lot of people accept the fact. But there are various ways to get money. If you do something you enjoy doing and helping people, and you make money because of your work, that is awesome. Instead of doing something which you hate doing every morning, and you still latch on to that because of just the money factor, right? I believe that once you start making impact on other people's lives, a byproduct of that would be money, right? Yes, I don't make as much money as I was making in my previous full-time job. In my previous full-time job, the amount of money I was making, I could probably get a basic Ferrari model, like a Ferrari car. I was making that much money, right? But then I did this because this was my calling. This was what brings me joy. This is what helps me wake up in the morning every day, knowing that I'm doing something meaningful and impacting people's lives. And when people give you feedback, call you saying, what you said worked, man. What you did changed my life. Wow, just talking about that now gives me goosebumps. So I think that's what it all matters. So making a difference, and I think that's what I want people. That's what I need. I want to be known for. So.
Yeah, I think that's, if you can make a difference doing what you love, and it's obviously what you love. And, I feel that too, with what I'm doing now is just, finding your true calling and, just really enjoying it and it bringing you joy. So, I think that's fantastic. And that definitely comes across. I've loved all the stories that you shared. I know there's lots more because I know we had sort of some emails, but maybe another time we can get you back. But if people want to find out a bit more, where's the best place for them to go to?
So there are two channels through which you can definitely get in touch with me. One is my personal website. It's rajsubra.com, rajsubra.com. And there you'll find my life journey, all the stories, the way I impact people, and all details about my work and what I do. That's one way. The second way is I also recently released a book last November. It became a bestseller on Amazon. It hit rank 5 on Amazon as well. But the point is, if you go to the book website, Skyrocket Your Career book.com, there you'll find links to directly connect with me, and you can ask me any questions you want. And of course, I'm super active on LinkedIn. Literally, I live on LinkedIn. So at any point of time, the fastest way for you is just say, hey, Raj, follow me and connect with me on LinkedIn. Then you'll probably immediately get an answer from me because that's where I hang out. But yeah, those are the different ways you can definitely connect with me as well.
Fantastic. I'll make sure I include all the links in the show notes for anyone that's listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube. So thank you so much, Raj, for joining. It's fantastic. And I hope you don't send any more of your cold weather over our way, although I feel you might be next week.
Hey, global warming is scientific. If the people do not believe in global warming, this is happening. So yeah, even whether I like it or not, you may get cold weather.
Oh dear. We'll blame it on you over in Chicago. So thank you so much for joining me, Raj. It's been fantastic to hear more about your stories and what you're doing to make a difference.
Thanks for having me. And quick, one thing I want to mention was wanted to acknowledge you for how you're showing up consistently and providing value to your audience. I think that is super impactful. And in this day and age where people are anxious about so many different things, you are trying to make a difference. I can see making a difference in people's lives. So I want to acknowledge you for that. And I'm really grateful for you giving me an opportunity to share my story and share my wisdom on various topics as well. So really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm just sort of really passionate about sharing, people's stories and, exactly what you're saying, the ups and downs of people's sort of success stories and, that be a resource for people who are in their career or sort of looking to set up a business or looking to grow their business. So yeah, thank you for being part of that. And thank you to the audience for listening in today, and join me for the next episode of How to Spark Success, where I'll be joined by another amazing entrepreneur and savvy business owner who'll be sharing some of their success secrets. So thanks for joining and listening. So take care, and thanks so much, Raj. Take care. Bye.
See you.